運が悪かったんだよ。お前らは。
ようやく手に入れたようだな。俺は本庁から呼び出しがかかってるからな。まあ、9歳の女の子連れて桃源郷へ行くってのはおかしな話だ。
But fuck it, she's a badass, so deal with it. Can I?
桃源郷に行く前。
Nope. Okay, Hane is not going anywhere, so we'll have to do the Revelaton sub-story later. In the meantime, we can finally do some Haruka sub-stories, including the one we missed out on earlier. Oji-san. We can finally do some, that sub-story we've been holding off on, and a very special Haruka-only sub-story. Both of these will have FMVs dedicated to them. So first we're going to do this one that we've been holding off, that has been on the back burner for a while now. Which is funny to me because it introduces a character that will go on to have main story importance, and yet he's completely missable as an optional sub-story that you need to hit like 3 triggers on before you actually encounter it. So that's kind of interesting.
この町はややこしい事情が絡み合ってるからな。しかし桃源郷とはよく名付けたもんだ。
どういうこと？
桃源郷っていうのは簡単にたどり着けない楽園の名前だ。
そうなんだ。でも楽園なら風間さんって人もきっと無事だよ。
ああ、そうだな。
すっちまった。
Why do you know so many kids, mister? Are you some kind of creeper or something? I'd like to note that it is snowing right now, and this motherfucker is in a hoodie and shorts. Not yet, at least. I'm really bad at doing that, so I think you're doing a good job. I'm really bad at not running off on my own, to be honest.
Oh.
Not at this moment. Oh god, the fucking Christmas music. God, it is such hell. It is such hell living in a fucking, working in a fucking retail job during Christmas. They just never stop fucking playing the Christmas songs. Such a pain in the ass. Child, ingest rice ball. I just need something in my stomach so I can fall asleep. Thanks, mister. Here's the keypad code to the vending machine so you can get the ambrosia shipment. Oh, time to reinstall Deus Ex.
ああ、美味しかった。ありがとね、おじさん。よかったね。ね、おじさん。
ああ、もう腹いっぱいになったのか、坊主。
うん。何時間かしたらお母さんも戻ってくるし、もう大丈夫。だ
ん？
どうしたの？ちょっと大丈夫？ねえってば。おじさん、どうしよう。
これは食当たりじゃなさそうだな。はるか、急いで病院を探そう。
Oh shit, I can't have a kid die on me. I can't have a kid die on me. I ain't going back to prison. Quick, run around with this child until you hit an arbitrary trigger. Have fun not knowing where the fuck you're supposed to be going if you've never played this sub-story before. But don't worry, the helpful anime nurse will solve all our problems. This anime nurse. Yeah, you're literally just supposed to be... Like, this isn't even marked on the map! Look, it's not even... This building. This building is not even marked on the map. If you didn't notice or remember this building, which has an anime nurse advertising the fact that it's a hospital, you're fucked. I think you can probably talk to some NPCs in order to, like, get directed here, but it's still like, what the fuck? You would just have to notice this place and know that it's a fucking back alley ghetto hospital.
おい、この子を見てもらいたいんだが、どうにかならないか。
おい、どうしたんだ。
少し黙っとれ。どれ、見せてみろ。
急に腹が痛いと言って倒れたんだ。
時間がない。緊急に回復して処置する。
お腹切るの？
おい、こっちはどうなる。
おい、アリ、大丈夫か。
ここの医者ずるい。外人だから差別して。
何？
こいつら後から来たのに手術してる。アリ、無視された。アリ、アリ。
そう。見てわからんのか。今は手術中だ。出てけ。
お前、俺の弟見捨てた。許さない。
うるさい。出ていけというのがわからんのか。
そう。お前も弟のように死ね。
今殺されちゃそのガキも死んじまう。俺が相手になるぜ。
ならお前も殺してやるよ。
So, this fucking sub-story was pure comedy in, the original PS2 game with the English localization. With the English dub of having these Japanese black men going, "This doctor's fucking racist! He's treating the Japanese before us because we're foreigners!" Whoa. And it was, I can't even like put it into words. It was just fucking so funny. And to be honest, I think it's even funnier now listening to what are clearly Japanese voice actors trying to like do a black guy voice. A black guy speaking Japanese voice. One of those things. Fucking...
So... 手術は終わったのか。
ああ、終わった。虫垂炎だったよ。破裂寸前だった。 危なかったがな。
お前絶対に殺してやる。
ずいぶん元気だな、兄弟揃って。
お前ずるいやつだ。弟見殺しに。
あんた
なんで。
こいつはただの石だよ。尿管結石だ。
血石？
ああ、激痛が走るが石が膀胱に落ちちまえばなんてことはねえ。気失って寝てただけだ。
じゃあ世話になったな。
ありがとうねお医者さん。
お医者さんか。久々に聞いた言葉だな。
こいつはどのくらい入院するんだ？
まあ2、3日もじっとしてりゃ大丈夫だろう。子供は回復も早いしな。
でもお母さん待ってるんでしょ。
まあ俺が母親の店を探して連絡はしておくよ。
お前しばらくじっとしてろよ。あんな場所でうろつくんじゃねえぞ。
やめておけ。この子もきっと母親を待っているのが楽しいんだろうなあ。そうだろ。この町には大人子供関係なくいろんな事情を持った連中が山ほどいるんだ。だがみんな精一杯頑張ってる。だから俺はこの町が好きなんだよ。
そうだな。だからあんたみたいな医者も必要なのか。
その通りだ。俺は患者に一切の差別はしない。この町で病気で苦しむ人間がいれば誰でも助けるさ。
じゃあ俺らは帰るぜ。
ああ。
そういえば代金は？
ああ、それなら問題ねえ。俺には強力なスポンサーがいるんでな。
そうなのか。まあとにかく助かったよ。ありがとうな。
しかしあんたの社長さんも物好きだね。
うちの社長がファンなんですよ。先生が東都医大の部長をされていた頃からの。
そっか。まあ会ったことはないが、その風間社長さんとやらによろしく伝えてくれ。
はい。
So that doctor does come back, not only in later games, but like well after, because there's a couple characters who show up in Yakuza 2 because they're just reusing the model. They're reusing PS2 assets, but then we're jumping to PS3. We're not making a new model for this. Fuck it. That character's gone now.
誰かの口から告げるしかないんだ。
But the Doctor sticks around. Not only is he in Yakuza 2 as a main story, main story mandatory character, but he shows up in Yakuza 3 and 4 also. So it's interesting, and that belies, that gets into the fact that all of the sub-stories are canon. Canonically, Kiryu does every single sub-story in every single Yakuza game. In every game, he does all of the side quests. Canonically. But it is amusing that it is a sub-story, so it is missable, it is not mandatory content, and yet this side character, this sub-story only character, does show up as a main story character in future games. So if you did play Yakuza 1 and didn't do that sub-story and missed out on that, and then play Yakuza 2, you'd be like, who the fuck is this guy? Who the fuck is this guy?
なんていないだろうからな。
じゃあ私が最初なんだ。ちょっとドキドキするね。
店の人間も驚くだろうな。
Oh, shit. Interrupted. My mistake. Oh well. It's not really important dialogue anyway. To be honest.
お客様、お子様連れはちょっと。
社会見学の一環だ。多めに見てくれ。
申し訳ございませんが、他のお客様のご迷惑になりますので。
絶対に迷惑はかけない。いいよな。
かしこまりました。
I reiterate that Kiryu is 110% done at this point in the game. Kiryu could not be more absolutely fucking done. Oh, it's so great. That's my favorite Kiryu. My favorite Kiryu is just like 110%. The meter is full. The meme of like the health bar filled up to like the maximum, above maximum, and like the zoom in with the Photoshop of his eyes glowing red and shit. It's like, fuck you, my friends are dead, my dad's been shot, my brother's an asshole, everyone can eat shit, I'm taking Haruka to the soapland. Fuck you.
おじさん、ここじゃない？
そうみたいだな。
いらっしゃいませ。
Yeah, she knew we were
熱海
coming.
です。
Ah, 2-for-1 special I see.
桐生だ。シンジから聞いてないか。
桐生、あなたが？
She didn't even blink at the fact that Haruka's there. She's a real professional.
しんちゃんはもう。そう。最後に会った時から言ってたの。自分にもしものことがあったら、あなたが訪ねてくるかもしれないって。いつもふざけてたあの人が急に真剣な顔してね。
Getting some retroactive pathos for Shinji. Always a good thing to do after the character's dead.
おかしいと思った。だってね、あの人急に今やってることが片付いたら結婚しようなんて言ってさ。
すまない。
You never want to marry a hooker. It's just not a good way to go.
私の方こそごめんなさい。
Hope you don't mind if I smoke before we have sex.
風間さんね、確かにここにいたんだけど、しんちゃんの知り合いが来て連れて行っちゃったの。
誰だ？
近江連合の寺田さん。
Dun dun dun!
連合。そいつは本当にシンジの知り合いなのか。
Remember, the last time we saw that character, he was in with the meeting between Shimano and Lao. Sorry.
人に止めた船に
ラオ
連れて行くって
カロン
言ってたわ。
そうか。
それともう一つ。しんちゃんこう言ってたわ。錦山組は100億の他に世良会長の遺言状を探している。
His will.
それに
Dun
次
dun
の
dun.
4代目が指名されているんだって。
遺言状？そんなものが。
That's important for some reason.
錦はそいつを握りつぶそうと。
しんちゃんはそう言ってたわ。
何？
So here we go. Are you ready? Yeah! Oh, God. So I would remind you, the last time that we saw Majima was back at the batting cages. That is the last time Majima existed. In your brain, you should mentally block out every single instance of Majima existing in the game outside of the batting cages boss fight. And what happened back at the batting cages? He got stabbed by one of his own henchmen and then carried off screen. I reiterate, I don't like the Majima Everywhere content. I think it diminishes Majima's involvement and functionality in the story as it existed in the original PS2 game. I think it is one of those things that is getting way, way too far away from being a remake. The fact that it's like big memes, big time meme show of, hey, isn't it goofy? Isn't it wacky, goofy fun times? Isn't it great to have all these gifs of Majima dressing up as a host and running around as a zombie and frisking Kiryu as a police officer, etc. Isn't it so fun to have this zany, wacky meme character Majima in the game, everyone? Oh, didn't y'all like Yakuza 0 so much, where Majima was a cool character, right? Everyone remembers Majima in Yakuza 0? Well, time to have him in Kiwami. It's Majima everywhere. I don't like it. Because in Yakuza 1 on the PS2, Majima shows up in 3 scenes. The very beginning where he beats the shit out of his subordinate with the umbrella, the batting cages boss fight, and this sequence. And if you don't know, I mean, if it's the first game you're playing, which it is, because it's the first game that exists as a Yakuza game, you don't know whether or not Majima is an important character. I mean, we've had bosses all throughout the game who show up for one boss fight and then are never seen again. We had the Omi Alliance guy that we fought in the Ares bar. What is his name? Hajime? Something like that? Mishima? Something along those lines. Like, what's really the difference between a character like that boss fight that we had and Majima? They're both just a boss fight. Or Lao. Really, Lao was built up as more of a character than Majima was, because at least Lao had a flashback, so Kiryu knew Lao and had a pre-existing relationship with him that predates the events of the game. But there's, like, functionally, in terms of the gameplay and the story, they're both the same. They're both a boss fight. One amongst dozens of bosses that Kiryu is going through as he progresses through the game. The guy with the guns, the gun kata that we fought at the top during Shinji's death scene. It's all the same thing. You had a boss fight with this character. So the fact that, like... Oh, I'll let this play out.
Majima no Nisa, あんたまだ生きていたのか。
助けて、お願い、助けて。
ああ、よしよし。静かにせんか。
よせ。
ああ、お前べっぴんさんやないかい。どうや、俺の女にならんか。どうやねん。
嫌です。私、他に好きな人が。ごめんなさい。
マジマ、やめろ。
そうか、正直な子や。それでほれ、ここ危ないで。はよ行き。
読めねえな、あんただけは。
俺は正直者が好きなだけや。人の顔色伺ったりせんと。俺がそうやからな。
そうかい。
この間いいとこで邪魔が入るよった。ここで蹴りつけようやないの。キルちゃんや。
And that's why the payoff of that scene is what... that's the reason that Majima ended up being such a beloved character in the eyes of the fan base and in the eyes of the creators. There's more to him than just being some crazy Japanese Joker voiced by Mark Hamill. He's got depth. He's got a little bit more going on than you initially assumed. If all you know about Majima, playing the game for the first time, and not knowing anything about the series, and just meeting this character based on that initial umbrella scene at the beginning of the game, you think, oh, this guy's a crazy gangster dude. And then you meet him at batting cages, and he kidnapped Haruka, and he's like, all I want to do is fight you, Kiryu-chan. And you're like, okay, he's got a fight boner for Kiryu. And, like, he has a little bit of depth to him as revealed when he takes the knife for Kiryu. And you think, okay, so yeah, like, we had this interesting boss fight with this character. He has some kind of relationship with Kiryu based on that opening cutscene where he's like, hey, you'll figure it out once you have kids of your own, once you have a family of your own, Kiryu. I'm just trying to show you how it's done. I'm trying to like discipline my boy for disrespecting you, Kiryu-chan. And Kiryu refers to him as Majima no Nisan, which is like a big like term of respect above and beyond, like, calling him, like, senpai, or, like, a superior officer, kind of a thing. So there's clearly some kind of a relationship between them that goes beyond just what we see. Just like with Shinji, there's clearly a relationship going on between between Kiryu and Shinji beyond just what we see in the context of the game itself. So, but he's still a nutbar and a violent psychopath who almost murders his own man over a petty slight, even though Kiryu was like, nah, it's fine, don't do that. So when you encounter him at the baseball, the batting cages, and he's got this big boss fight, you're like, this guy's a fucking nutcase, but it makes sense, because he's like basically a Japanese the Joker. He's a Japanese Yakuza Mafia the Joker type individual, even in the Japanese version. The fact that they got Mark Hamill to voice him in the dub was the most appropriate and incredible casting of all time, by the way. I love it to this day. But then, like, he takes, like, one of his boys is about to stab Kiryu. Majima takes the knife and basically says, like, Kiryu is my friend. Only I'm allowed to kill him. And you think, okay, so he's got... There's more to him than meets the eye, maybe. He's still a crazy dude. And he's got, like, a fucked up sense of perspective about what his relationship with Kiryu is. And is so unhinged that his feelings in and about violence are clearly, you know, not something that we can relate to as, like, normal fucking people. But there's a little bit more to him. A little bit more to him than you might expect from some of the other one-off bosses in the game that you had so far. But he got stabbed in the fucking abdomen, and the time span of the game's story so far has been pretty on the short side. So you kind of don't expect him to show up again. There's no real assumption that Majima is going to be in the game ever again anymore after he got stabbed and shuffled off screen. He had his moment. There was some catharsis to the conclusion of that fight. It's more than other bosses that we've had so far got, so you're satisfied with it. And you think, okay, Majima's no longer in the game anymore. So the fact that he shows up now, during this Shangri-La section, and has this big, extravagant, crazy boss fight, is a surprise. And having a scene where he's like threatening and being all rapey with this chick, only for the chick to be like, no, sorry, I got a boyfriend. I'm not into this. And he's like, okay, cool, I respect that. Sends her on her way. And even Kiryu was like, man, I never I never know what to make of you, Majima. There's more to you than meets the eye. That was enough. That was enough to make Majima stand out as a character for them to bring him back again throughout the series. So I wish that had been preserved. I wish that the simplistic charm and, like, minor implications, like, he's a minor character, he has 3 scenes, but there was enough in those scenes. It was really like what little we got, and also his voice actor. The fact that he comes back and he's a character who has 2 boss fights, which is an unusual thing in this game. Only one other character comes back as a boss fight twice. And he's related to Majima, so it's even more appropriate. And his voice actor just killed it with the performance. So because of that, he gets brought back later on in the franchise. He gets made a bigger character than he was originally. And he becomes such a breakout character that he becomes very mimetic, to the point that he becomes playable in Yakuza 0. And because Yakuza 0 was this big landmark title that got presented as a new entry point for new players, they decide to retroactively imbue Majima's role in this game with content that is reminiscent of Majima's characterization and function and role in future games. And I get that, and in theory, there's nothing wrong with wanting to do that. But in practice, it kind of ruins what made Majima stand out in and how he functioned in this original game in the first place. And that's a disappointment to me. I wish they had preserved Majima's role and impact in this game, rather than shoving the Majima Everywhere system in and, like, dumping 10 years worth, really, of retroactive character development onto a character who, in how he existed... Oh, shit! Whatever. In how he existed in the simple story that Yakuza 1 was, it creates a conflict, I think. The Majima that exists in the cutscenes that are adapted from Yakuza 1 are incompatible with the Majima Everywhere content where he's all memed up. It could have been handled better. I get what they wanted to do. I don't think it was done well. Good idea, bad execution.
奴ら俺がお前とつるんでるうちはクビにできねえんだ。行くんだろ桐生。芝浦に。
Can I still run around with Haruka, or did I fuck it up? I think I fucked it up. Whatever. Thankfully, in this version of the game, there's no cutoff point. There's no, oh shit, I missed out on that sub-story, now it's gone forever and I'm totally fucked. Thankfully. Unlike the original game, unlike Yakuza 1 on the PS2, there's no, fuck you, you missed out on triggering that sub-story, so that's it. It's gone. Eat shit. There'll be an opportunity. I didn't miss out on anything, so it's fine. We'll just go ahead and plow forward with continuing with the story.
What
do you think? I'm fucking talking to you right now. Let's do it.